Hello everybody, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. Out here today doing a porch time. It's been a bumpy road here for the last 3 days. And in 3 days we've had 9 inches of rain here. We had the aldermans from Alderman Farms here yesterday. Tommy and Patty was here yesterday. We had some of the worst weather during their visit that I think we've had in probably all of last year. I mean, it was just real bad. But God was good, and we was able to get a good visit in, and they was able to get a good visit in and get home safely. And I wanted to talk about a subject today. It's 2017. This is my first porch time of 2017. I kind of want to start off on a good note this year, talking about beginning homesteaders, because I think that that's real important. I think it's an important subject. It's one that I don't think a lot of people address. I don't think they address it correctly, maybe many times. And to be a beginning homesteader, people always are asking me, well, Danny, where do I start? What's going on? I mean, what do I do? How do I do this? And I guess the first thing that needs to be addressed in beginning homesteaders is homesteading for me. That's the first thing I think that you've got to settle in your own mind is homesteading for you as an individual. Because homesteading is not one of those things that, now let me say this, true homesteading. There's a lot of people out there that may call themselves homesteaders, but in reality they still are just beginning homesteaders. They haven't really reached that point yet. To me personally, now I'm speaking from a personal standpoint here, a true homesteader is someone who lives on their homestead. They completely survive on their homestead. They don't have an outside job or anything like that. Now to me, that's what I would call a true homesteader. But now there are people who are homesteader preppers who hold public jobs. They make their money off of the homestead, and then they buy things up to use on the homestead in hopes that one day they will be able to be completely on the homestead and be able to survive off of the homestead. Now that surviving off of the homestead, I've done this for, I think, since 2009. I've been living off of just my homestead, and I might pick up a little job or something here and there to do on the homestead for somebody. Like I've built some cabinets before for someone, and to me that's still making my living off of the homestead because I'm not actually leaving the homestead to do it. We've raised some vegetables here to sell, and we do other things like that. We sell some animals, we sell some meat, different things like that. These are all ways that we make income. We have an Etsy store that we sell things through. These are ways that we generate money from the homestead. Now, if you're going to become a homesteader and a beginning homesteader, that's one of the things I'm talking about. You have to settle in your mind, is this homesteading lifestyle for me? And you have to determine, how am I going to fund this homestead? How am I going to survive on this homestead? Now, it's not for everybody. Let me say that. Homesteading is not for everybody. It's one of those things that there are some people in this world that are cut out to be homesteaders, and there are some people in this world just not cut out to be homesteaders. Homesteading is one of those things that it takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of organization. It takes a lot of hard work. There are no vacations usually on a homestead. And if there is downtime on a homestead, you've got to have somebody to step in who can do your job for you until you get back on the homestead. I know this past year when I had to go in and have surgery, that was probably the only time I was off of my homestead for several days. and I had to call in neighbors to fill my place on the homestead here. And luckily I had neighbors who could come in and do the job for me, feeding animals and tending after things here and watching things for us. You gotta, you see these people who they want to get as far out away from everybody as they can get. And I think you have to keep in mind that during time, there's going to be life-changing events take place. Now, whether it's sicknesses or health issues, or whether or not, something happens, you're going to need somebody's help at some point to do something for you. And that's why you got to ask yourself, is this lifestyle really for me? Where I'm living at, do I have family? Do I have kids? Do I have neighbors of some kind who can step in and actually help me during a downtime? Because if you live long enough, you will have a downtime in your life. You just have to accept that. There's some sort of life-changing event that will come along that will cause you to have downtime. And you will need someone's help. Now there is a passage in the Bible that says, "Woe unto those that join house unto house and field unto field, that they may be found no place, that they may be left alone." In other words, what the scripture is saying there is, don't go out and buy up everything around you in such a large piece of property that there is actually nobody close to you that can help you. That's what the Lord's telling them. And even God himself made that available in the scriptures. Take into consideration, you're going to need someone's help if you're a beginning homesteader. So go ahead and try to line that up with wherever you move to or whatever you try to do. Try to make sure that you're close enough to family, friends, or someone who can step in and help you during that downtime. And asking yourself, is this lifestyle really for me? What kind of health issues do you have? Are you physically able to care for animals? Because animals take a tremendous amount of care. At my age, if I was to say, here I am, I'm just 4 years away from being 60 years old. If I was to say at this age I'm going to start becoming a homesteader with my health issues, it'd be a real tough chore for me. But because I've been on this homestead for 26 years, I've got a lot of things already in position and in place. I've done them when I was a lot younger and had the health and the strength to do them. I've got a barn built, I've got chutes of all kinds, catch pens, and all types of facilities here to handle things, because physically I can't get out now. I can't wrestle with an animal anymore. So it's important for me to have those things. So ask yourself that question, physically, where am I at in life? And ask yourself, what kind of animals can I have on this homestead? Now, does it need to be chickens? Does it need to be rabbits, something that's easy to handle? Does it need to be goats? Can I handle goats? Can I handle sheep? Do I have the capacity to handle goats and sheep? Do I have enough land? Do I have enough land for a cow? Can I handle cows? Or is this too large of an animal for me? Keep asking yourself these questions. Can I handle turkeys? Can I handle ducks or geese or whatever? What is the one animals on my homestead? Pigs. Do I need pigs on my homestead? Do I have swampland that needs cleaning up? Do I have trash piles piled everywhere? Do I have lots of oak trees on my property where the pigs could eat and gorge on acorns and stuff like that in the fall? Ask yourself these questions. What type of landscape is going to be on the homestead where I'm moving? And what kind of animals do I need on the homestead based on what resources are available and my health? Luckily here we have all the facilities, because I built most of them when I was younger and had better health. So we're able to be a little bit more sustainable with the animals. Now, starting out, it would be, like I said, it would be extremely tough for me to do this at my age without the facilities to do these kind of things. And asking yourself, is this lifestyle for me? How much sleep do you need? Because to be a true homesteader, I'm going to tell you, I don't get to bed a lot of nights until about 10 to 10:30 at night, maybe sometimes 11. And I'm up at 5 o'clock the next morning fixing breakfast for Wanda and I. Because right after 5 o'clock, we're out the door. You run a homestead that actually is a functioning homestead, that's going to be your hours. If you're going to be milking animals, you're going to be needing to be out milking animals before daylight or right at daylight. I had a whole herd of goats here I used to milk and sell the milk, make cheese and butter and all that kind of stuff. We milked around 6 o'clock in the morning. This time of the year it's dark. The summertime it can be daylight at 6 o'clock in the morning. We milked at 5 o'clock in the evening. This time of the year it's dark. Summertime, still plenty of daylight left. We would milk and turn them back out in the fields in the summertime. But that's something that's 7 days a week. That doesn't go away. There's no walking away tomorrow and go, well, tomorrow I'm going to decide to milk at 9 o'clock in the morning and I'm going to wait and not milk tomorrow afternoon. If you do that, you just throw that animal out of kilter and they will not produce. Matter of fact, they'll produce a lot less milk and you won't get it back. So you've got to get those animals on a routine and you've got to stay there with them. It's like the post office thing. You have to be there no matter what. Rain, sleet, snow, whatever. Sickness, I mean, you've got to be there or you've got to have somebody to be there in your place. So you have to determine, am I ready to put this kind of effort into being a beginning homesteader? Now, raising rabbits is a whole lot less work. It's just as rewarding. There's lots of meat with rabbits. They multiply extremely fast. And chickens are extremely easy to raise. You know, you just need the facility, something to keep the predators away from them, because if you have chickens, there will be predators. You have to go ahead and get that in your head. You're going to lose some to start out with, probably. And, you know, you just ask yourself, am I ready for pigs? Will my covenants where I live at, if there's land covenants, can I have pigs? Can I have goats? Can I have sheep? Can I have cows? Can I have a horse? Can I have these different type of animals with the covenants where I live? Can I have chickens? If I can have chickens, can I have a rooster? Because in lots of areas you can't have a rooster. And if I do live in a certain urban area, how many chickens can I have? You see, there's just tons of questions that has to be answered if you are a beginning homesteader looking into homesteading and trying to decide what kinds of animals can I have. Now, most places I think can probably have rabbits. I haven't run across too many places that you can't have a few rabbits in a pen. But then comes the question of sending your animals to freezer camp. Do you have what it takes to take an animal's life? Not everybody's cut out for that. I know me personally, used to, I didn't think twice about taking an animal's life. It was one of those things, as a younger man, I butchered hundreds of hogs, and it didn't matter what it was. I could walk up to anything and shoot it and didn't think twice about it. But you know, the older I get, the more emotional I get toward animals, because they become part of who I am. And they become part of the farm, and you become attached to them if you're not careful. So I will be the first to admit that in my later years in life, it's not as easy for me to take an animal as it used to be. Now I have to look at that animal and realize that I've given it the best life that I can possibly give it, and that I have fed it as well as an animal can be fed, and that because I've taken such good care of it, now it's the animal's time to take care of me. And it doesn't make it any easier, but there has to be a point that we realize that God gave us these animals for our well-being here upon the earth, and that's what they're really here for. And you've got to ask yourself as a beginning homesteader, am I cut out to do this? If not, then go ahead and find a processing place so that you can load your animals up and take them to a processing place to be done for you. And you have to also ask yourself the question, you know, what kind of facilities am I going to have? Do I have the structures? Because for heaven's sakes, do not get the animals before you have the structures built. Do not get the cart ahead of the horse. So many beginning homesteaders make this mistake. They run out, they see chickens, they see rabbits, they see goats, they see sheep, they see hogs, and they go and buy all these animals. And first thing they realize is, I don't have a way to haul them to start with. And they kind of jerry-rig some kind of way to get them to the homestead. And then when they get them there, they don't realize they don't really have a viable pen to put them in. And the first thing you know, they've gotten out, or a predator has gotten in and gotten them and has killed a bunch of them. Or if you've got pigs or sheep or goat or cows, the next thing you know, they're on the neighbor's land. You've got problems. Your little temporary fencing wasn't good enough to hold them in. Now you got to deal with an animal that's on the loose. So as a beginning homesteader, you might want to stop and think about maybe spend the first year just getting everything ready before you actually go and possess an animal. So, you know, it's not all that it's cut up to be. People look at people like me, for instance, and they go, oh, he's got it made. Well, what I have did not happen overnight. There's many years of work that has gone into Deep South Homestead here. It's just been a tremendous amount of work. Long hours. Lots of sleepless nights. And I can honestly say that now that I've accomplished a certain amount on the homestead here, it is a lot easier for me to be able to handle animals. It's a lot easier for me to be able to process animals, because now I have a place to process animals on the property. I have we call it a skinning room inside the shop there, where we can actually go in. It's in a controlled environment. We've got the hot water. We've got everything we need there, the sinks, the tables. You know, this kind of stuff doesn't happen overnight. And might I add, as a beginning homesteader, do not go and get yourself deep in debt, trying to have everything that mom and dad or grandma and grandpa or whoever you've seen on a YouTube channel has all at once. Because if you go and stick your neck on the line and you try to build this massive homestead and you sink yourself deep in debt, there'll never be a point that you'll enjoy it. It's kind of like owning a motorhome or owning a boat. There's only two good days when you have a RV or when you have a boat. It's the day you buy it and the day that you sell it. Those are really your two best days. They're just usually buckets with holes in the bottom of them. You're constantly putting money into them. So keep that in mind when you try to start a homestead as a beginning homesteader, that you do not go out and stick your neck on the line for too much money that you end up having to spend 30 years paying back. And by the time you get it paid back, then you're too old to enjoy it. Me and I would say JC from Boss in the Swamp is another one. We're the kind of people that thought outside the box. We did not go and follow the quote-unquote way to do things according to society. We waited and paid for what we wanted. We worked, we saved our money, and we actually paid for things as we went. There was never any one point in life that I made a ton of money where I could call myself wealthy to be able to accomplish what I have and to own what I have. As y'all have seen in several of my videos back, I've bought and paid for 3 homesteads. The video I have up called The Journey, I explain a lot of that in The Journey. A lot of people may not have watched it all the way through to the end because I was walking through the woods on the first part of it, but the actual talk is at the end of the journey. And I explain a lot of my ways of thinking and how I accomplished the different goals in life that I've accomplished. And I think it's very important that you figure out, first of all, before you can become a homesteader, is who you are. What are your goals? What do you want to be as a homesteader? What kind of animals do you want to raise? You know, do I have what it takes to be a homesteader? This is one of the most important questions that you can ask yourself. And I think on this particular part of Porch Time, I'm just going to stop there, and maybe at another one of the Porch Times, we'll take beginning homesteading to the next level, and we'll actually talk a little bit more about maybe some of the tools on the homestead. We'll talk about maybe cast iron on the homestead in the kitchen, different things like that. I'm going to try to start talking about some of these things on the homestead to kind of give the beginning homesteaders some ideas about some of the things that they'll face and some of the things that you'll go through on a homestead, and a little bit about what it's like to have life on a homestead that is a true operating Homestead. So with that, I'm going to say thank y'all for watching today, and I hope you have a blessed new year in 2017. I hope it's a prosperous year for you. And here at Deep South Homestead, we just want to tell y'all how much we love you. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.